Alright guys, so this is a 1986 15-ton trailer, pintle hitch on it, and I brought this back from New Jersey, and when I did, it was in the middle of the night and it was raining, and I had a problem because one of the tires locked up, and when I stopped to see what was going on, the other one locked up, and they were both on the passenger side. So these tires are fine here. These bearings seem to be fine. Everything seems to be in working condition. The passenger side, both bearings are very bad. The front one especially, I could see the wheel was really loose. So the deck was meant to have wood on it. It leaves this like 1.5 inch space right here. But I'm not going to put wood back on it. I'm going to put diamond plate. So I think what I'm going to have to do is build this up 1.5 inches and then put it on top of that and just weld it from here to here. So let's tear into this and see how the brakes are, and I'm going to rewire the whole thing, but I want the brakes to be decent.
Oh, that broke it. I don't know if that moved or if it broke the ratchet. I think we got it. Nice.
I guess all of them are loose.
Hooray. Except for that one.
This might have happened when things were jamming up. You can see this lock washer is like shifted to the right and it's like dug into the spindle. So hopefully that didn't damage the spindle. I'm going to weld a piece of pipe on there and then spin it off there, hopefully. Yeah, that thing, it is bouncing all over the place.
Come on. Oh my goodness. I did it.
saw it wiggle when you moved it. So I knew it wasn't that bad.
There's some oil in there. Ready?
Yep. How much? Probably just enough to save it though. Just enough to save the bearing until
What
we
is that,
get
like
to it.
GL40 fluid or something like that?
This is 80-90. Well, it should be anyways. But at least there's enough to save that bearing. That bearing is saved because of that.
And it will probably come off a lot easier.
Right. Probably come off like it's supposed to.
Pre-bent. There it goes.
Yep. Careful there. Don't pinch your finger in there, boy. Stick your hand back there. Maybe now you got it.
Come on.
That thing welded itself to the shaft there. You can see there's like globs of metal that melted. So I guess this turned out to be the worst one. And you can see the wires for this brake assembly here are completely melted, which was probably grounding out. I got new shoes for here because these are completely gone. But the other three brakes are fine. The shoes, I think they're reasonable for now. I would have just got all new ones, but they're like $150 per set. And that's just the shoes. That's not the whole brake assembly. It's like $400 for the whole brake assembly. But I just don't think that that's necessary right now. I think just the shoes on this one and the other ones are fine. I'll clean all this stuff up. I already cleaned these ones up. You can see everything's pretty much cleaned up. I think this one just got so hot from things dragging and having friction that it just melted everything. I didn't have the right puller, but here's one that I made. A little bit more. This is supposed to actually go
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
like this, and then these, one is, you're supposed to fold 2 of these in and 2 of them out to the outer one.
Oh, see, whoever did it before didn't do it right.
Yeah. So I guess we'll do this one. We just need something to tap this with.
Don't kill my finger.
So then, put the outer nut on, torque it down to 100 to 150 foot-pounds.
You got a torque wrench over here?
Yeah, I got one. Right here.
Right here.
There's my arm.
Good to go.
So then we'll take this one here, pull that up. We'll take this one here and pull this one up. So this magnet on here, I was trying to find a new one to replace it because of these wires being melted on it, but I could not find a replacement part for this. The new style started a few years after this one, and they kept it until recently, and it's like an oval shaped one with a different size hole in the middle. It's actually like a slot, so there was no finding another one. So I'm gonna try to make this work. I got some high heat tape and solder it, and I'm also gonna put new wire on this and then put this cool tape over that. This stuff says it's good for up to 400 degrees direct, which I would assume means touching, but it's good up to 2000 degrees radiant heat. So that's pretty much what it's going to be seeing is radiant heat. Nothing's really going to be touching it that's that hot. I'm sure it'll have some friction against the drum, which will heat it up some, but I don't think it's going to get crazy hot. So where these wires go into this magnet, they go in really close, and I want to keep them separate. And so I figured the best way to do that was some sort of like liquid. And so I was doing some research, and JB Weld has their epoxy, and this is not steel reinforced. I thought a lot of them are steel reinforced, and I thought if you use that, it would probably conduct some of the electrics. So I got the one that wasn't steel reinforced, and it says on their website that they're not conductive, but I don't know which ones they're talking about, so I just assume that this is the one. It's Minute Weld. This stuff sticks together pretty well. So remember, this spot has a nick on it. So what I think I'm going to do is use 2 of these lock washers here. And that way, when I have it all the way in, at least the outer one is still catching something. Because the other one, if it's set at the same level as before, it can just kind of turn. I had to kind of grind down the surface to make it nice and smooth again. So I'm going to put a little high temperature red silicone on it.
We were joking around about the torque wrench before, but that's because we were going to check the end play. So I gave this trailer a spin for about a mile just to kind of make sure everything was good. And then now we're checking the end play. It's supposed to be between 1 1,000ths and 10 1,000ths. This one has a little bit more. It's still within spec, but I'm just going to tighten it a little bit. This one's just out of spec. It's like 10 thousandths. I don't really trust these 3-inch C channels here to support all this weight. So what I'm going to do is make like a gusset, and it's going to be like a triangular thing that I put in here at a 3/16 plate. I'm going to put it on each one of these. And then because the weight's now going to pivot like this and put weight on the bottom, it's going to want to spread this beam on the bottom that way. So what I'm going to do is also put something through here to prevent that. So I'm at the point now where I'm just doing a lot of welding. I decided to go ahead and put these 1.5 pieces of angle iron on there because this piece of flat plate that I put on there, if you're putting pressure on it, it can kind of buckle. So this is to prevent that. So that way it doesn't like deform as it's having weight on it. I went ahead and put the C-channel on here. That way the beam can't spread this way as weight's being applied to it. So I'm just about done welding up. I'm gonna make a couple more passes on these. I'm not trying to weld like solid beads the whole way. Like I'll do like an 1.5 weld and then skip an 1.5 and do another 1.5. So the next thing we're gonna do on this is paint the whole frame, and I decided to go ahead and paint it black, and then the whole top of this is gonna be yellow. I was gonna just paint the frame yellow too, but I don't know, I think black looks better underneath. So I got these pieces in the back here. I just put some angle iron across on the bottom there. So while I had the wheels off, we went ahead and painted everything underneath of here. And so because there's no, usually it's every 24 inches. So because there's not one right there, this one has to be double as strong. So I kind of made like a box gusset out of it. And that should definitely give us a lot more strength. So I just got to finish up welding here, and then we're going to paint this with an airless sprayer. And then I'll put the diamond plate on the top and paint that yellow. Believe it or not, this diamond plate is actually pretty slippery, especially if you have steel tracks or it's wet or both. So what I'm going to do is put some traction cleats on, and it's going to be 5/8 square stock. This is where the incline is. I'm going to put a piece about every 8 inches. And up here where it's flat, I'm going to do like one every foot. This is going to help it, give it strength so that the diamond plate doesn't deform if you have something that's really heavy, like right in the middle. If you were to put something with tires that's really heavy, like a lift, then it's got a lot of pounds per square inch. And if the tire's right here in the middle, it's going to deform this. Tracks kind of spread it out to the sides, so that won't be too much of a problem. But this will just help it so it doesn't deform so much.
I don't think it needs to be nearly.
So I started to paint this yellow, but I realized I just really don't like that. I'm going to paint the whole thing black. The only reason I was going to go with yellow is because that's what the title says, but I'm going to go ahead and change that because I just like black a lot better. So the whole thing's going to be black, not just the frame. So I guess what I put on here will just be a primer. I got this 10,000 pound jack for the front of this trailer, and I got to weld these mounts on it. The old jack didn't work at all. It completely binded up and would not move at all. The old one had a 2-inch strap that was 3/8 thick, so I'm going to put a 3-inch strap that's 3/8 thick. My son left his crane here, so I made good use out of it. I'm warming up my gloves and it works really well. I don't know what this guy had on these ramps, but somehow he managed to break and bend some of these 3-inch C-channels. So he really bent almost all of them. And I was gonna replace all of them, but I just kind of figured by the time I do that, I might as well just make new ramps. So I guess for right now, I'm just gonna get the bad ones. Probably the ends of them, and then eventually I'll make new ones. Okay, so I just decided to go ahead and put this piece on to kind of extend it so it's not so abrupt when you're trying to put like a wheeled machine on there. And then I put another kind of like support gusset for that. I decided to go ahead and put all LED lights on this. I don't really want to mess around with lights that go out sometimes. These are supposed to last forever, so. The old ID bar on this was all the way down here, but when you have the trailer leveled out, that was only like 10 inches off the ground, and the law requires that you have it 15 inches off the ground. So I'm gonna move it up here, and then I'm gonna also put a piece of angle iron to cover it, so it'll be kind of like that. And then I can still have my license plate down here with a light over top of it. just wanted to round out the corners on it. That way you don't catch your foot or knee on it or something.
Set that there and slide her over. Gonna come down to me.
Push it this way.
There you go. Push it this way a little bit. There it is.
So this trailer only has 3 pockets to put chains and stuff. So we got this one, which is kind of a double pocket. Each one of them is a double pocket. This one, and then this one, but that's really not enough, especially if you want to put like 2 machines on here. And there's a long ways in between these, like between here and here is like 12 feet. So I definitely want to put some more places to tie down. So I got these 3/4 D-rings here, weld-on style, and they're rated for 9,100 pounds a piece. I was gonna go with like 1/2 inch or 5/8, but the working load wasn't enough in case I want to put the excavator on here. Because the excavator is 28,000 pounds, so each one of them needs to be able to do 7,000. So that's why I left these spots blank. I'm gonna add 4 on each side. So I kind of picked spots that already had a support underneath. So I want to put it right where the support is. That way it has the most strength. And this is only 1/4 inch, and this is about 5/16. So I should be able to use the MIG welder, use flux core. I think I got it dialed in pretty good. It's kind of hard to see welds on the camera, but it's looking pretty good. Do at least 2 passes on it, maybe even 3. All right, so this is a lot more work than I thought it would be. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and we'll see how these cleats work. But ultimately, I think if I was to do this again, I'd probably just do an all wood deck. With steel tracks, it's just kind of the way to go. I think this will still work, but I think it was just a lot of unnecessary work. There was a lot of welding in these cleats. I had at least 5 welds on each side of each piece. So that's 10 welds per piece. And I think I have like 50 something on here. So that's a lot of welds. I think it was a good idea if I'm gonna be with a steel deck, but if I was to start over again, I'd probably just do this in all wood, because all wood, yeah, you have to replace it every 5 or 10 years, but I mean, I did that with free wood that I had over here. There's just logs sitting here going to waste anyways, so. I just don't want any troubles with steel tracks when I'm loading the machine on. The last thing you want is a machine tip on its side because it can't get up here properly. And I know sometimes I'm going to be loading out of mud, or it just rained, or it's condensation, or it was probably only necessary for me to put the cleats on this part right here. Once you get up to here, I think it was probably fine. But again, I don't want to take any chances, especially with the dozer, because I have that homemade canopy on it, and I'm not really willing to test that out with my life. So I definitely wanted to make sure that I was going to make it on this deck and stay on the deck. Now this may make it complicated for some other things to load on here. It may make it a little harder to load on because there's like these little speed bumps on there, but the main thing I'm worried about is the thing that's going to be dangerous, which is going to be steel tracks. So I guess if it inconveniences all other platforms, then whatever, that's fine. So a few things I want to discuss on this. When I did the wiring for the brakes, I ran 12 gauge stranded wire to each axle individually, and then brought them up to this box up here individually, so that if something happens to the wiring, at least one axle will still have brakes. That was probably overkill, but I like doing things like that. So the tires on this probably have a few more years on them. If they were more common, then I would just put them on now, but it's a lot of money. So speaking about money, let's talk about that. I bought this for $1,100, and I have probably about $2 grand in the parts for it, and then, you know, some labor too. But I mean, altogether, you know, if I have a $4,000 trailer, if you were to go buy one of these new right now, it's like 20 grand. So I guess I saved some money there. I mean, if you count my time into it too, I probably have 10 grand into it really, but still, that's not 20 grand. So this section back here, from about here to here, is 8 foot, and it has the old steel on it. I'm not too happy with the way that is. It's pretty rough. It got dented, and then because it got dented, I think the water sat there and corroded it more. So it's not great looking, but I'll replace that down the road. That'll be a project. That'll probably take a whole day to do that. It's a lot of work to do that. But for right now, I figured this is probably good enough. You know, like these ramps, like I said before, they're kind of bent up, but I'll replace that later. It's just not necessary right now. I kind of am on a time restraint because I got a job coming up. Like tomorrow, I got to move the dozer and the excavator and the skid steer. So I was really kind of on a time crunch here. I think these D-rings are going to work out really nice. Now I don't have any lack of places to put tie downs. So for all the wiring on this, I use those new solder shrink tubes. You basically have to heat them up with a heat gun, or in my case, I used a MAP gas just from far away. And that makes sure that there's definitely nothing that's going to happen to any of these wires. There's no connections that are iffy on this at all. Everything is 100%. And so on the front here, I'm probably going to enclose part of this so that I can put straps in there without them getting degraded from UV light. You know, here's the breakaway system. You know, I like this one because it says what it's doing right now. It's charging, which means that it has an actual charge from the truck, which is nice. And then, you know, if you hit this button, it says fully charged. That's always nice. So the way that you can test these is just pull this out. And right now the brakes are on, so that's nice. You can hear it click in the back too. That's a dead giveaway. So this is a 20-ton pintle hitch, and I really wish they would design this a little differently to where these bolt holes would be like 6 inches apart, because that would really help with this kind of thing going on. You know, it's hinging on 2 inches, but it's good for 20 tons, so I guess it is what it is. And this is only going to have 15 tons, really, but plus a trailer weight, I guess. But really, that has a 6,000 pound tongue capacity, so I guess that's not too much weight for those. Those bolts have an enormous amount of shear strength, but I think, you know, clamping strength comes into play too there. I'll have to figure out what position each machine goes in to be best distributed with the weight. Alright, so when I was buying the stuff for this trailer, I went ahead and bought everything brand new. So I got everything 1/2 inch. I got 4 chains with these shackles on the end, and they're each 6 foot long. And then I got 4 new 1/2 inch ratcheting binders. These are good for 13,000 pounds a piece. And then I also have some 3/8 chain, and I'll probably leave all my 3/8 binders on my other trailer. But this one, well, I'll have 2 3/8 binders on this trailer, and then I'll have 4 1/2 inch binders. And then I'm also gonna have some straps that I'll keep probably up in the front here. I'll build a little house for that so it doesn't get degraded by the sun. I just don't want to mess around with anything with this trailer. It's kind of stepping up in the weight and stepping up in the danger, so I want to make sure everything's on the up and up.